morning and welcome to Unity Spiritual Center, Saxe, this Sunday morning, September 13, 2020. Let's take a deep breath together. Breathing in fully, holding it at the top for a few seconds, and then exhaling all the way out. Letting go of any tension in the body. Letting go of thoughts and obligations and responsibilities that may be clouding your mind. Opening your heart fully. Getting comfortable in your seat. Preparing mind, body, spirit, and heart for this experience that we are now stepping into together. For there are no mistakes. We are all here by divine design at this time in time and space. We are all here for a very special experience. And we are greater than the sum of our parts. As a community, both in this room and online around the world, we have a positive, loving energy that not only nurtures and sustains us, but nurtures and sustains the world and has a ripple effect that we may never know the full extent of. So we continue to breathe in deeply, knowing that breath is life and life is breath. And that a loving energy that is the creation, the creator of all things, and is creation itself, is at work within us and as us. In this moment and in all moments. Continue breathing deeply. Opening mind, body, spirit, and heart even wider. For whatever it is, whatever the gifts are that we will receive in this time together. And now we raise our voices and sing our centering song, Spirit's Prayer.
Spirit dwells in me. This is my divinity. As within, so without. All I need is here and now. Where there's air, let me love. May I have no fear. All the power, all the glory, I surrender, let it be. Loving Spirit dwells in me, now and evermore. Loving Spirit dwells in me. This is my divinity. As within, so without. All I need is here and now. Where there's air, let me love. May I have no fear. All the power, all
And now, in the same loving energy, we bless the children of this community and the children all over the world. Let's recite together. Children of light, we see you guided and directed by an inward spirit that leads you into the path that is right for you. We see you strong and whole. We see you blessed and prospered. We see you courageous and confident. We see you as the spiritually perfect beings you truly are. Children of light, we bless you. And today's inspiration moment is from 365 Science of Mind. I am guided by infinite wisdom and sustained by limitless love. Today we say to ourselves, our experience is enriched by perfect faith. Our affairs are in the keeping of eternal mind. We live in the divine presence. We are guided by infinite wisdom and sustained by limitless love. Today we say, we are part of eternal wholeness. We live, move, and have our being in the Spirit of God. We are consciously drawing upon this Spirit for inspiration. We are continuously receiving guidance from on high. Today we remember that the Spirit is not far off, but ever at hand. Today we remember that love is the great lodestone of life, that joy belongs to the Spirit, that the life more abundant is at hand. Today we carefully watch all our thinking, being certain that it sees in everyone it meets a reflection of the divine image, a copy of the divine pattern, a manifestation of the life of Spirit. Whatsoever things are good, lovely, and true, these things I think upon. These things I entertain in my mind. Deep within me, there is a feeling nature that reaches up and out and grasps the full significance of a consciousness of good for myself and others. From Deuteronomy 33, verse 27, the eternal God is thy refuge, and underneath are the everlasting arms. Let's repeat 3 times together our affirmation. I am guided by infinite wisdom and sustained by limitless love. I am guided by infinite wisdom and sustained by limitless love. I am guided by infinite wisdom and sustained by limitless love. And now, Raheem Kwasi, thank you for being with us again.
My pleasure. That last line, was I the only one that was substituting instead of infinite, infamous? So I don't know if that's good. So, infamous love. I know. I don't know what it means. Well, first of all, I'd like to explain this T-shirt because it's such a casual little thing. But last March, before everything got shut down, I happened to be on this whirlwind trip through the South on accident because I was going to go to Asheville, North Carolina, and then everything just shut down in the middle of March. And so we made our way home. My son and I made our way home. We were in Nashville on our way to Asheville. Anyway, so it's like, well, let's just head back home. This has nothing to do with anything, by the way, except to explain the T-shirt. But what ended up happening was we ended up going, and we said, well, let's loop back a different way. We ended up looping back from Nashville instead of like doubling back to Memphis and everything. We went down to Birmingham, and then we ended up in Montgomery, and then we went to Selma, and then we ended up making our way to Monroe. We can move along past Monroe. There's not a lot going on there except for a really good diner, and it was Pie Day. But anyway, that's but then we ended up in Vicksburg, and the craziest thing is On the way up to Nashville, Lennon said, let's go to the Lorraine Motel in Memphis. And so we started our trip on this little 10-minute off-the-highway thing in Memphis, where Martin Luther King sadly was assassinated. And we had no idea that was going to be the beginning of our amazing trip back through the civil rights movement, all the way back to the Civil War. And even before that, in Montgomery is where the slave trade auctions were, and right there. Anyway, so I went through the whole civil rights movement, and I got a T-shirt. This is the T-shirt I got, and it's from the Museum of Justice and Peace. And if anybody's ever in Montgomery, put it on your list. It is the most amazing, incredible museum. So all that to say, that's why I'm wearing this shirt. It doesn't. Okay. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody lies and tries to hide it. Everybody finds themselves in a fix now and then. Everybody takes the cake. Everybody shows up way too late. Everybody is so realistic with somebody else's dreams. We give, we take away. We live our lives in shades of gray. We figured out the words to say to get us through another day. The bottom line I'm getting to, we do the best that we can do, and the best that we can do. Forgive the ones that do the things we do. Everybody loses face. Oh, everybody overestimates. Oh, everybody's missed the most important day of someone's life. Everybody pushes back a little harder. Everybody thinks the tact is so much smarter. Everybody is quite capable of things better left unsaid. We give, we take away. We live our lives in shades of gray. We figured out the words to say to get us through another day. The bottom line I'm getting to, we do the best that we can do, and the best that we can do.
Today's very special because our very own Deborah Gordon has said yes to a new level of expression and is stepping more fully into sharing her voice in the world and stepping into ministry. And so she wants to do that here in this community and in the world at large. So we know her as just a loving, graceful, treasured friend and member of our community. But here's some things you may not know about Deborah. Deborah Gordon was raised in religious science and divine metaphysics as the daughter of international teacher and spiritual intuitive Carla Neff Gordon. As a child and teen, she taught Sunday school and led meditations. Flourishing in the teachings of her beloved mother, Deborah led book studies and taught spiritual and psychic development. She was a founding member of SOUL, the Society of Universal Love, giving monthly talks and co-founding a spiritual retreat center, Peace Valley in the Ouachita Mountains of Arkansas. Deborah led numerous workshops, classes, and talks at Peace Valley in Acapulco and Hawaii. Alongside was her mother and, also New Thought author Alan Cohen. Around 2015, together with Neil Mowles, she co-founded Kindship, a philanthropic organization with projects large and small to promote kindness in the world. She is also a treasured friend of mine, and I am so excited for this time in your life and this time of service in this community. So Deborah's here to give our Sunday message today. Come on up, Deborah.
I'm so ecstatic to be here with you guys. I've thought about you. You've been in my heart through this whole experience. And I can't even tell you. I feel overwhelmed with gratitude being here with you today. And let's just say I would like to take a moment to do an opening prayer of my own, if you don't mind. So if you'd close your eyes with me just for a moment. Let's take a few deep breaths. And let's feel the presence of the living, loving God. And in this moment of time, we ask of ourselves that we lift beyond our preconceptions, our cares and concerns of our everyday lives, and that we are feeling into the truth of our being, the truth and the power that is above and beyond what we know in our conscious awareness of earth, that we are expanding those boundaries all of the time, that we are open to hearing something new or something we just needed to hear again. Most of all, we feel that presence. We are here by divine appointment. There are no accidents. And all is well. Thank you, Mother, Father, God. So, there are so many things I would love to share with you. I get so excited about my spiritual journey that there's any number of ways I could have gone with this. But it feels most important to me to share with you what I just came through, the experience of the surgery. And I know many of you have had a lot more intense experiences, battled diseases. This was not a disease that I had, but I just want to tell you what I experienced through this process, because it was really life-changing for me. And I am a seeker, so I love to learn. I'm going to juice whatever's going on. I can tell you that. Because I also believe that maybe that lesson won't have to come around again if I get as much out of it as I can on the first or second pass, right? So I'm going to try to learn everything I can from this. And I feel like I was truly blessed to have this experience in so many ways. And it all came down, the bottom line of all of it, if I had to boil it down to one concept, it is feeling the presence, which I think is what we're coming back to all the time. That's why I love doing meditations, because I think it's in the prayer and meditation work, just like Kim has, been putting out there for so long, it's all about that spiritual practice, and it's about what we are experiencing in our lives. And so bringing that, sitting in that presence, allowing that experience of God to truly touch our soul, so that that is the lens through which we view our everyday circumstances. And so everything that all the little things that I learned throughout this experience really came back to that over and over again. So I do believe one of my favorite quotes is from Richard Bach in Illusions. If any of you are familiar with that book, it's one of my favorites. And one of his lovely little quotes in there is, "You are never given a problem without also being given, without a gift for you in its hands." And it says, "You may have to open it, however." And I think that's the process, we see the problem, we don't see the gift necessarily right off the bat. But I do believe part of our spiritual practice is learning to know that gift is there and having the vision to figure out what it is and, unwrap it, figure out what is it there to teach me, what is it there to give me. And I really do try to come from that approach. And again, that's something from my mother, being brought up in that, with her saying, "What do you think that's trying to tell you? What do you think that means? Or what good can come of this? Where do you see God in this?" And just training ourselves to truly look at every circumstance in that way. And so part of what I want to tell you is what my journey was. So the condition that I had, it was not a disease. I am so grateful. But I had a pelvic organ prolapse, which basically, the reason I'm telling you is because I want to show how I could break down some of the spiritual lessons for myself, which basically means things were not supported underneath, right? And so the organs are going places they don't belong. And so if you think about that spiritually, okay, and one of the causes, there are a few causes on that list, but one of the causes is heavy lifting, right? And which I did do, which brought it from a weird condition to a painful condition when I was moving heavy boxes of books and so forth through my house. So what happened is, I started thinking about that. Okay, I'm feeling unsupported. Okay, that's part of it. So I explored that. And where do I feel maybe in my relationships? But the bottom line is I have some wonderful people around me that I appreciate. And so the bottom line is I'm always the one who is the hardest on myself, who is doing the self-judgment. So it's me who wasn't supporting me. So I got a lot of juice out of that one. But the bottom line in all of this, as I consulted with one of my spiritual teachers too, was, hey, you don't have to hold all that up on your own, and I'm thinking I'm being very responsible, right, to handle everything in my life and to keep all my ducks in a row. And I'm not saying I shouldn't do that, but I think the way in which we approach, knowing that, gosh, if I truly believe that God is my support and my foundation, why would I feel like I had to carry the weight of the world? Why do I feel that? And so I know that sounds like a simple statement, but again, that's something to bring into meditation so that you experience it, so that you can feel that you are not alone in any of this. And I just want to thank all of the people that helped me through this, speaking of support, because like my family members, and Randy and Sky and Kelsey, just being there for me on a very, day-to-day basis with everything, and my friends and people sent food, and people, your prayers were palpable to me. I could feel it. It helped me leading up to it, during, and after. I absolutely believe in the power of prayer because I believe it has an energy. Just simply the intent for good has an energy that is healing. I totally believe that, and I felt it. So I wanted to tell you, too, one of the things that helps me through, and I think in feeling the presence, is allowing the shifts to happen, observing yourself. There's a part of you going through the experience, and I think there's a higher self, especially if you're trying to attune, that's trying to assist you to see it a little bit differently. and assist you to get that juice out of it and assist you even into more comfort and peace. And one of the things, I have to share this story just because it delighted me and it actually helped me. So I want to tell you how being a little silly, having a little bit of humor, absolutely makes all the difference in the world in your approach. And so one of the things they had to do in this process of rearranging everything was, the first thing was to do a hysterectomy. Well, I've had my babies. I didn't really need that uterus anymore. It had performed its function. But there was still this feeling in me of, wow, I don't know if I'm ready to let go of that. I just feel a little bit weird about that. And so I was talking to my daughters about it. I talked to my older daughter about it. And she said, well, think of it this way, Mom. She goes, look at me. Look at Sky. You had spectacular children. That uterus did its job, and now it gets to retire with severance. So what was fun about that was then my younger daughter, who's a phenomenal artist, we just Kim and I were talking about it, making all these jokes about my uterus being on a beach somewhere, with other uterus having a drink, sunglasses, the whole bit. Well, this really, I know it sounds silly, but this actually really helped me. It helped me let go. So then my younger daughter got on board, who's a phenomenal artist, and drew me a picture of my uterus hanging out on the beach, other uteri going by, right? And then it was promptly named Uter Island. So I had Uter Island sitting in the corner, and that was there for me to see. Now, it may sound silly as heck, but the point I'm trying to make is healing is whatever speaks to you, okay? That helped me get over the hump. I didn't look back on letting that go. It just was part of the process, and because it turned into a delightful experience. So, I have the picture in the car if anybody wants to see it. It's pretty funny. So the next thing I want to share is that support is around us all of the time. I think we really have to train our vision. That beauty is around us all the time, the support is around us all the time, but sometimes we walk right by and we don't notice that it's there. So and I think when we really need it, we reach out and we start looking for it, but how wonderful if we're already trained to see that, and that it can be there on every day. I don't think we only have to call it in an emergency. Just think how much easier our life would be if we can feel that support on a day-to-day basis. That when we start to feel that stress, we take a moment, we breathe, and we feel the presence. Where is it in my life in this time? I see it in your eyes. I see it in the sunset, sun, whatever. It's there, It is there all around us all the time. And so along that, I want to share a really special moment. This was all happening during the virus. And so when I went for my surgery, I had to be dropped off like I was going to the airport, right at the curb, and picked up, the next day, same place. So it could have been a very lonely kind of a thing. I felt such support, so much prayer work and incredible notes and beautiful things that happened ahead of time. But inside, I have to give so many props to the people who work in that hospital. Because what happened for me was I had this moment. There's another point I want to make in there about the fear, but let me just tell you this part to finish that thought of the support. All of these people, when you're in there are so many people involved in getting you where you need to get for the results of this surgery. So, in came the different nurses and these people, and the doctors checked in, and the anesthesiologist, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I've had surgeries before, and you expect that. Then there's that point where they take you down, and there's an orderly or someone who takes you down to the OR, blah, blah, blah. No, they didn't do it that way. It's like they understand how important that feeling of personal support is. And I have this hero shot forever emblazoned in my mind, because before they took me down, every one of them showed up. and made a circle around the bottom of my bed. So I had the nurses, the OR nurses, I had the doctor, the anesthesiologist, I had 2 surgeons, actually I had 3 surgeons, but I had the surgeons, everybody was there. And I just, in their gear, and it was like one of these hero shots that you see. My doctor took my hand, and she goes, "We gotcha." And I melted. And I thought, how beautiful. I will never forget that. I will never forget that moment, because it was beyond anything. This was out of my hands. But I was in good hands. And I knew it, and I felt it, and they wanted me to feel it. How beautiful is that? It's not just that I had the eyes to see, but the kindness of these people to step forward and make sure I felt that. I will forever remember. It's a little overwhelming to me. I want to go back just a bit to make another point. In leading up to this, the fear that I felt, because I knew it wasn't an emergency surgery. It was planned. We had a date. We had a time. So I had weeks of waiting leading up to this. A lot of time to think about that. And as I was unwrapping the gifts of the various lessons that I felt were involved, I felt more and more at peace about it. But then there was, leading up about the week and a half before, I started feeling some anxiety about and some fear around the surgery itself. But I reached out to a spiritual teacher, Michael Mirdad, some of you may know. And I had a private session, because I said, why am I letting this get to me? I feel like I should be above this. I know all the reasons. I know I'm going to be safe. I know it's going to be okay. So why am I afraid? He said, they're cutting open your abdomen, right? Yeah, well, I think that would make you feel really vulnerable. So maybe just look at why you feel vulnerable. But it was like I suddenly had permission that maybe that was just part of the process. Was to feel those feelings and to figure out what it was, but also to know that your body has a purpose to keep you here and to be as healthy as possible. So it might have a visceral reaction to knowing that something so sensitive was going to be happening to it. So I think there's permission that we don't always give ourselves. I know I had certain expectations and tend to judge myself over things that I think I should be above, and I just think we have to, give ourselves some leeway. We're here for a reason. We're here to learn and to grow. So, we have to just give ourselves some leeway that process, there's a reason that if we had it all, and another thing from Richard Bach, right? If we knew it all, we wouldn't be here anymore. What would be the point, right? So we have to assume we still have gifts to unwrap while we're here. So the next thing after my little hero shot of seeing everybody there is my anesthesiologist, however he did it, I didn't even see it happen, must have given me something wonderful, because my last memory was actually being wheeled by all of these people that had shown up. Somebody was pushing it, and everybody walked together to the OR. And I don't even remember going in the OR, which is lovely, So kudos to their expertise. But my next memory, this is the part I really want to spend some time on, because it was a very profound experience for me. As I was coming out, I didn't have a near-death experience, but I understand much more about people explaining what they experience when they do that. Because my first thought was, no, I'm not ready to go back yet. That was my very first thought. Because where I was in this expanded place of awareness that I am just going to try to have to put words to. The feeling, the overwhelming feeling. The word love doesn't describe it. It was this feeling of being held so precious that I knew that my mom, guides, angels, whatever you want to call them, they were there. I was with them that whole time, that I was being treasured. I felt so treasured, so valuable on such a personal level. Like them having me, I mean, it was so much more than that. I was allowed to be in this presence that is so expanded from our everyday experience. It was so perfect. This lightness of being, and while I felt very individually loved, protected, and cherished, I knew that every one of us is all of that. It wasn't just me, although they made me feel like I was valuable and important to the all. Every one of us. Valuable and important, if we could get our minds around that, to really feel that we are treasured individually. The Creator didn't make any mistakes. There is no wasted space. There is no wasted energy. There's a reason that we are. There is a reason that each and every one of us has a consciousness. And from that place, I actually felt myself go to, I think, sometimes you see something on the wall and you bring it into a dream, and it was that sort of a thing coming out of the anesthesia. And I saw a chart on the wall. So in my mind, I work with Excel, so I think I saw these 3 little columns, and that's what my mind made sense of. I felt as though through the whole time that I was out, that I was getting a download of information, very nonverbal, by the way, but just this download of wisdom and understanding, and that so much has happened that I wasn't remembering. But as I came out, I had this experience of having to focus from this expanded place down to saying, oh yeah, that's who I am right now. I'm Deborah right now. But where I went first was in the highest self. So that highest expression of who I am, meaning with full potential, understanding the perfection of our true being, our highest self, with all the wisdom, with all the knowledge, with all the tools, with everything that I needed, no lack at all, a whole and complete individual. And then from there, I saw this little center column that was blank. And then the third column was my conscious awareness, meaning me with all my self-doubts or my challenges or my everyday litany, of all the different things. And what I heard was that I was being afforded a vision of this highest self being able to inform this conscious awareness right now, because the lines were so blurred, that right now that highest self could say to my conscious awareness, this is what's true. This is what's true about the world. This is what's true about you. This is what you're really capable of. And meanwhile, I had this thought of, oh, and my conscious awareness can go swim in that big pond right now, and understand what it feels like to be immersed in my individual wholeness with no lack. And the big takeaway for me on this is that's feeling the presence in my meditations. I'm going to shoot for that expanded awareness with the all, that connection with the all. I feel like I've been gifted with a template to know what it feels like. And every time I talk about it, it gets to me, and I don't want to lose that experience, how that felt to be in that place. And at the same time, I know that maybe the steps to getting there is to go swim in that bigger pond, to truly understand what that highest self is. What is my highest expression? And I believe we've already been doing that when we do our prayers and meditations. But to have that awareness that that's what we're doing, we're swimming in the truth. Not all the preconceptions, not the day-to-day challenges and gifts that we haven't unwrapped yet, but in that place where there's nothing we have to do to be perfect. You know, the only imperfections are in our expression. It's not in who we are. And I just find that so incredibly, it's like I knew it, but now I feel it. And I think that's what we're going for, you know, is we've all studied, we've read the books, certain things pique our interest, and there's certain avenues we want to explore, and I think that's wonderful. But as we've said many times, until you feel it, until you can feel it come through your heart, come through your mind, and move through your hands so that now you're acting on it, then it really doesn't mean anything. So I think that feeling the presence is making a conscious choice for what we're going to tap into. What is it that we believe? And you don't necessarily have to know what all of that is yet. That's the thing. We have the tools. It's about centering. It's about feeling and knowing, affirming. I am perfect right here and right now, no matter what appearances seem to be going on, no matter the chatter of the world. You know, I think so much of it is just simply knowing what to focus on. Another little aside that I'd like to say in this is that an experience that I had, I was so blissed out, and I went home all happy. By the way, they told me that an accident was made during the surgery, which turned a 3.5-hour surgery into a 7-hour surgery. I had an additional surgeon was called in. You know what? I just kind of didn't care, because I think that I was being afforded an experience that maybe had to take longer. I don't know. Maybe I was supposed to get to swim in that bigger pond for a longer period of time. Really, it made no difference to the outcome. It made no difference to what I owed financially. It didn't make, you know, the main thing, and I have to give my family props, is that they weren't there, and so they're waiting to hear, and it's more than twice the time that I was in the OR than what they expected. So for them, the prayer, sometimes it's a lot harder to be the caretaker or the person on the sideline. I have to just give them props for that. But what I want to say is this. I was still blissed out. I was hurting, but you know, there's a difference between hurting because something's wrong and hurting because something really is on the track to right. You know, you're healing and you know it. So it was okay. It was okay. I got home, and I was telling Kim, I said, you know, I'm in this bliss, and I'm telling her all about what I experienced and everything, and I said, and then all of a sudden my body was like, what the heck just happened here? You know, what? You know, and I went, okay, wait a second. The observer in me that's having so much fun playing out here is going, well, what about that? You know, how does that fit into this scenario? And what I really came to understand is I really believe our body has its own consciousness that is a little different from our spiritual consciousness. Our spiritual consciousness understands that it is immortal, that it is eternal. It gets that, it knows that. And so, you know, in the face of many things, if we can pull back, if we center, you know, we feel that, we get above all those day-to-day stuff. The body, however, think about it, its function is to keep us here and to be as healthy and strong and hopefully pain-free as possible, right? That's our body's function. So my body's flipping out. But what I found out with this consciousness, this elevated experience that I had, was to talk to it and build a relationship with it in a new way. Once I thought of it as its own consciousness, I started talking to my body as though it were a small child. And I said, wow, that was a lot to go through, wasn't it? That was really a lot. You know, you were really okay the whole time. I know that was scary. It might have felt like they were trying to hurt you, but they're really fixing you. And it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. You're already on the other side of this. You're only going to get better. I talked to my body like it was a child. And do you know, I felt so much comfort. I would feel things release when I did that. When I would be in a heavy, tight, you hold yourself more rigid when you're in pain. And I would feel myself relax more. And it was a very long recovery. It was. And again, all kudos to people going through ongoing diseases and all of that. Because I recognize that I am lucky. This was a fixable condition. But what I'm saying is that will stay with me, that I can continually, that when we're centering and we're praying, we're reaching into that consciousness that is God itself and that knowledge. But from that place too, and we want to communicate with that higher self. We want to communicate and build the strengthening that relationship so that it's second nature to us. But I also think at the same time, we want to reach back. We often as spiritual beings tend to neglect our bodies. And I think we need to reach back and include this childlike consciousness that is just trying to keep us going every day, day to day. So I think we have to reach back and welcome it into this experience, integrate it, and not push it aside. Some people are better at this than I am, that exercise and are aware the body is the temple. I'm really getting there. I've lost 50-some pounds over the last year. I'm trying to be, but the relationship, I felt such a shift in thinking this is a treasured being that is going through its own gyrations and needs to be reassured of what I consciously know, that everything is okay, that really all is well, that we are on track, we're doing exactly what we're supposed to do, and all is well. So I have this favorite thing. Seems to be that when I pray, I always get into, and I'm doing meditations and I'm centering, I always come into the word dwell. I love that word, dwell. That I dwell in the presence of the living, loving God. I dwell in that energy of peace. And I think there's something about that says, that's where I live, that's where I belong. I'm going to keep going back there. No matter what other little detours I take, I keep coming back there. So I dwell in the presence of the Most High. And that's what I want to leave you with. So let's take that concept into meditation here for a moment. Okay? And just relax into your chair. Take a few deep breaths. In this moment of time, we already are lifting beyond our concepts of every day into that expanded awareness that we are truly a part of the great all. That there are ones surrounding us, even now, known or unknown, that are supporting us, that are holding us dear, that treasure us personally, that cherish us. Not because we're fragile, but because we're precious. You are precious to the all. And we bring that into our highest self and thank it for always being there, never abandoning us, having faith in us, observing all of our struggles and strains and triumphs, and knowing always the truth of our being, that we are all, in all, through all. You cannot fall outside of God. It's impossible. God is love, peace, prosperity, joy, delight, playfulness, peace, comfort, hope. And we invite our highest self to express through us in a day-to-day manner, so that blank column in the middle, it had nothing, because there is no true separation between our highest self and our conscious awareness, except what we put there. So we invite our current awareness to understand we are precious. We are divine. We are meant to shine. We are designed to shine and to love. And so, when we open our eyes in the real world, the pretend real world, what we allow ourselves to see is the presence of God in all of the faces, in the nature around us, in the experiences that are reaching out for us to support our knowledge of good. Our hands are quick to be of service. A smile is our natural expression. Joy is our natural state of being because we are in that joy of life, life itself. Our purpose comes easily. Any fears that come up, they're just pointing us to our little spiritual to-do list. What do we want to turn over next? What do we want to unwrap next? It's not there because we're wrong. It's there because we're growing. We want to learn. We thank it for the gift. The gift is our new tool to carry forward. We are so safe. We are so loved. We are so capable. And we walk forward in our strength and our peace. And let this be the truth of our expression. And we let it be so. Thank you, Mother, Father, God.
So as we are more aware of our higher selves in this moment, we lift the names of those we love and care for as they look for healing in mind, body, and spirit and heart. And so we say their names aloud now. Lindsay. Nicholas. Pete. Deborah. For Alexine, Stephanie, and Carl. The family of Vicky High. For the Silverberg family, the Say family, for Harper, Reba, and Eddie, and all those who love little Harper. So for these souls and for all those who are unnamed at this time, but who live in our hearts, all those who are crying out for healing, who live in fear, who live in doubt, or live in confusion. We know that in this world that is only goodness and love and prosperity and healing and wholeness, that their highest and best is at work in their lives right here and right now and in every single moment. And so we send our love and our care and our blessings to all of them. And we send our love and care and blessings to ourselves, lifting ourselves, holding ourselves, nurturing and sustaining ourselves, knowing that Spirit moves through us, lives as us, expresses as us in this world. And so it is, and so it shall be. Amen. And so we prepare for our offertory, knowing also that Spirit is the source of everything in our lives. everything in our lives. And so let's recite our celebration of giving together. Divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all the good that I am and have, all the good that I give and receive, and so it is. And once again, Rahim Kwazi takes us to heaven.
Oh, yeah. Part of this stand here. Deborah, thank you. I'm speaking for all of us right now, but thank you for sharing. I can just picture that state of mind or state of spirit you were in. You described it so well that I think we can almost touch it, almost like, wow, which is such a cradle of light and euphoria, and peace, and all the things that we forget sometimes that we have. Love on. Give your heart to somebody soon, right away, right away. Love on. Give a smile to somebody soon, right away, right away. Love on. Let your light fill the room. Give your heart to somebody soon, right away, right away. Thank you, Deborah.
Let's bless our tithes and offerings. We are deeply grateful for all the time, treasure, and talent that flows into this community, blessing it, nurturing it, and helping it to thrive. And that brings a message of love, peace, joy, and prosperity to the world. And so it is, and so it shall be. Amen. So don't forget, next Sunday on the 20th, we have our community meeting, and it'll be on Zoom. I will have the Zoom link out to those of you who will be watching remotely, and so you can interface with us if you have questions. I'll have that out either Tuesday or Wednesday, and we will start probably at 12:30, so we can have a little break after service. Everybody can get themselves together. We're going to have snacks here so that everybody's not hungry and listing over and losing them one by one, dropping like flies. So we invite you to have a snack at home, and we can all have a little bit of food together remotely and through spirit across the cosmos, and then have a great meeting together. We have a lot of exciting news for you about 2021 and all the wonderful things that have happened so far in 2020. And also, this is a very special day. Okay. So in April, we did our first remote membership Sunday. That's a little bit after COVID had started. And Jan Collins stepped up on April 12th and became a bona fide member on paper here at Unity Spiritual Center, Saxon. And that is her membership certificate. As I always say, when you first walk through that door, we adopt you into this family. You are just one of us. We do that. We open our hearts immediately as soon as you cross that threshold. And then there's another way to express your beingness in this community, and that is to step up to be a member on paper. And you can vote for people when they run to be on the board. You can also be one of those people who wants to be a nominee and apply to be on the board, which we will be doing very soon this year. And when we make some decisions, and if there's something that the board brings forward for the membership to vote on, then you are one of those voting members. So we're always excited when we have somebody else who steps up into those roles. So thank you so much, Jan, for being a part of this community. Yes, absolutely. And now, Fred, your president of the board, has a message for you.
Thank you, Ricky Ricardo's brother. I always try to start off with something a little funny, and today I had one that would be fitting, but it's about a woman that had surgery on it. So I decided that would not be appropriate.
She didn't go to you right.
No. Too soon. So I decided to tell you one about a guy that passed away. And he went to heaven, and he was in heaven walking around with St. Peter, and he was showing him around. He walked him into this huge football warehouse-looking thing, and it had all these clocks. And he said, what is this? And he said, well, look, everybody on earth has a clock. And if you're really, really good, your clock runs really, really slow. If you're really, really bad, it rolls faster. He said, I'll give you an example. This is St. Peter. This is the Pope. His clock was just barely moving. And he said, this is Mother Teresa. Her clock wasn't moving hardly at all. It was like an hourglass. The guy says, man, that's great. He says, where's my clock? And he goes, well, we keep yours in the office. We'll use it for a fan. Yeah. So, a couple of announcements. And the first one is, for the members of the congregation that have been with us for a long time, long before I got here or any of us in this room, we are making some changes now that you'll see on the outside. We've been so blessed to have Tess and her group step up to make plans on what those changes will be on the outside, and we're so excited to hear her plan. But one of those things requires that us change some things. So, we have gotten rid of the 2 buildings that were out there that were housing things. We are also going to get rid of the carport-looking thing that we have out there. But I assure you, nothing is going to go to waste. Okay? The buildings have been sold for a donation. The awning will be donated on a bartering system. We're bartering it with one of our vendors that comes in and does our work here, and so we'll get work for in kind for that. Any of the materials that we take out that can be salvaged will also be salvaged. Which brings me around to this point. Yesterday, Jerry and I unloaded the buildings. Now we have a whole patio full of stuff. Best way I can play. You've got tables, you've got chairs, you've got baby chairs, you've got tiny chairs. You've got a lot of things out there. You've got a filing cabinet. We have no idea that all that stuff was really in there. So we're asking anybody in the congregation that has an attachment to something that's on that patio to please take it home and enjoy it elsewhere. And those of you that need something, please take it home and need it somewhere else. We're in that process, so as soon as we get the patio cleaned back off, then we can go to step 2, which is get the awning moved, and then we can have a clean slate for the landscape team to enact their plan. So that was something that I felt like we needed to announce to people so that they wouldn't go, well, what are you going to do with that? Well, trust me, nothing's going to get thrown away that's not trash. Everything will be either donated, sold, or it will be used to some degree. Okay? Mm-hmm. That was one. On a somber note, we have received and accepted a resignation from Sue Lorenz, who was on our board, and because of some circumstances with her work and her new job and some things, she has made the decision that she just can't help us function on the board, so she has decided to resign. And we really appreciate all that Sue did. We really appreciate the time that she gave us when she was on the board. So we really want to send out that thank you to her because she was a really integral part of what we were doing. So we want to thank you. And as an entree, we want to remind you that we're going to have board elections in December this year. And we will have board elections every December because we're going to start adding new board members and moving board members off. And so we're going to start adding them on. So if you feel compelled to be part of the board, it's a working board. Ask Mike or ask Jerry. It's a working board. We don't sit around and make decisions and then go, oh, well, I wonder who's going to do that next. No. If you bring it up, you're probably going to chair it. Ask Jerry. Last year, Jerry goes, I think this Fun Fest would be a great idea. I said, great, Jerry, you do the Fun Fest, and then we'll get you some backup. So, you got to be careful. So, but we really would like to have some people that are interested in making our community be better than it is now. As we get more people to start coming back, which is the other thing I wanted to say, we are a safe environment. Anybody that out there that is staying home because they're concerned, okay? Don't be here. Just because I'm not wearing a mask on camera doesn't mean that I don't wear one in the community center, the spiritual center. We're very cautious of that. We have masks out here for people that come in that don't have them. They can just take one. We have this place cleaned every week. So we're very concerned about anything that would make anyone ill. So don't feel like this is not a safe place, because I trust you, it is. It is. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Now it's time for our prayer for protection. Let's recite together. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Take us home, Raheem.
This is a callback from a couple of weeks ago when introduced the song. When Kim was giving a message about peace of mind, and sometimes all we have to do is just know it and recognize that we have the peace is from within. And so this is that very ending of the song. And at the time, the people that were here kind of invited people to sing along with that part, and almost maybe it can be a somewhat regular, maybe part of, because it's such a reaffirming or a message to ourselves. Not only if we have peace of mind, but we need a peace of mind from other people. And not only that, but if we have it, then we can throw it out to other people too. And so it goes a little something like this, as you might remember. Oh, and by the way, is there any vintage guitars in the shed? No. Do you need to walk over? Nothing? Okay. No. Okay. Just checking. Okay. Beatles memorabilia or no?
We thought we found Elvis, but it wasn't.
He left the shed.
Jimmy Hoffa.
Yeah, it was. Let's see here. If you have peace of mind, throw it. It's a lifeline. If you have peace of mind, show it. It's a lifeline. If you have peace of mind, grow it. It's a lifeline. If you have peace of mind, know it. It's a lifeline. Oh, 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 oh,
Deborah, thank you very, very much. That was wonderful, just wonderful. And thank you all for spending your Sunday with us. And as we close, with all our power and might, we recite our vision affirmation together. We are a growing, thriving spiritual community. We are stepping more fully into our innate divinity and earnestly expressing our I am nature each day. We give freely, generously, and lovingly, to the places where we receive our spiritual food and we are manifesting overflowing abundance in every area of our lives like never before. Our collective energy is a positive magnetic force that attracts spiritual seekers to our center every week, and our Sunday services and events are now filled to capacity. We are peace, we are prosperity, we are joy, we are love, we are Unity Spiritual Center Saxe. Amen to that. Have a wonderful Sunday. Have a wonderful week. And we'll see you next Sunday. We'll see you next Sunday with our community meeting right after service. Namaste.